Samantha from Jessima Tutorials here, and today I'm going to show you a fun way to create a pair of black and white earrings and a cool way to use the Lisa Pavelka peel technique. Now that all makes sense in a little bit. For now we're going to start off with some Prima polymer clay in black and white, and these were both rolled out on the thickest setting of my pasta machine. And what I'm going to do is you need to decide which of these you want to be your dominant colour. I want the black to be my dominant colour, that being the background of my piece. So for that one I'm just going to burnish it onto the tile. I'm using a glazed ceramic tile. And then you want to select some cutters. And I'm going to be using my pebble earring set number 3, the extra small pebble earrings. And what I'm going to do is I am randomly going to cut out pieces of clay from the black at random, and you want to lift, and you can even use your cutters to kind of nick the corner up so that you don't have to use a craft knife or anything like that to pick the clay up. You can just use the cutter to do that. And what you're going to do is you're going to do that across the surface, and then you're going to go with your white, and you're going to pick that up. And I'm using pebbles, but you can use any shape you want, and you're just going to place the white down where the black was. And because we're using pebbles, you don't need to worry about them distorting. So you can also use the cutter to kind of press and then nick it up, and that makes it easier to grab them. But you want to essentially do that across the whole piece of black, and then once you've done that, then you're going to burnish it. Okay, and there we go. And you want to just space them out at random. Then grab a piece of printing paper or greaseproof paper and just go over and give the piece a burnish so that all of those pieces of clay bond together into one flat veneer. And the nice thing about this is it is going to be double-sided, because the white little pebble pieces will show up on the other side, and that's especially nice when you're making a pair of earrings. And you can do this burnishing by hand, or you could take a roller as well. Don't roll like this because you'll stretch the image, and just use that to burnish as well and go in multiple directions. But just continue doing that until your piece is completely flat and you have no more seam lines. You can pick the piece of paper up to check. And I've got a little bit more here and a little bit more here, but in general it's completely smooth. Okay, and then once that's done, you want to just grab your blade and just shimmy it up off the tile. And my clay is a little sticky, so you might need to drag it a little. But you can see there it is double-sided, but it is going to have kind of this fluffy stuff. So I'm going to show you how to clean that up so that you can use it completely double-sided. The trick is to grab a piece of paper, because we want to keep that nice matte finish on the front, and give it another burnish, because this has a bunch of pits in it because it was sitting on the ceramic tile, and that's why you generally don't want to bake on a shiny surface like a glass or a ceramic tile, because that's what the baked clay ends up having. So if you can, bake on a piece of paper, because that will give you a nice matte finish and won't give you those little pits on the back. But you want to burnish this so that you get rid of all of those little pits. And that should just about do. Okay, and then to clean it up, you want to grab a baby wipe and a little bit of isopropyl alcohol, and just give that a little spritz, and then go over the surface, and it will make a mess at first, but just go over and clean, and that should clean away a lot of this kind of residue, and you want to do that across the whole surface, and that will clean the whole thing up. And there we go, that will have cleaned it up. Now you could leave it like this if you want to, and then once it's baked you could give it a sand, but I think that it's going to be a little plain for the back, so I'm going to take a silk screen. Use any silk screen that you want. This is just going to be the back of the earring, but I'm going to take a silk screen, there we go, and I'm going to place that over the top of the clay, and I'm just going to place a gold pattern down, and that will mirror the gold pattern that is going to be on the front of the earrings. Okay, and just grab some gold paint. Make sure that you mix it up before using it. This is acrylic gold paint. Just pop that down. And I would recommend using whatever colour paint matches with the metal leaf that you're going to use later. And just scrape that over the surface. And again, remember, this is completely optional. I'm just making it so that the back looks nice as well. And that should do. Put that to the side. And lift the silk screen up. Okay, and then go wash that silk screen and allow the paint to dry. Okay, now while this paint is drying, I want to go over the leaves that I'm going to be using, because that part is a little important. So the leaves that I've got here, these are from a lavender plant, and these are from a coriander plant. Now you can use different leaves, it does not need to be these ones. Suggestions are tomato leaves, parsley, mint. If you can get any kind of fern leaves, that works as well. It does not need to be herbs. I find that herbs are easier to get hold of because you can just kind of get them from the grocery store if you don't have access to leaves. But find leaves that have interesting patterns. You're mostly looking for the outside silhouette of the leaf rather than the actual depth of the vein in the leaf. So it's a little bit different from what I usually recommend, which is leaves that have quite a deep vein pattern, because the technique that we have is going to mostly leave us with the silhouette of the leaf. But yeah, these are the leaves that I'm using. Feel free to use whatever leaves you can get a hold of. You could use flowers as well, and feathers, that's also another way. But this should pretty much be dry. Okay, and so then you're going to take that and you're going to flip that over so that the paint side is facing down. And what I would recommend doing at this point is choosing what cutter you're going to be using for your earring shape, and just generally eyeballing whereabouts it's going to be cut. Does not need to be exact, but definitely plan out where it's going to be. Don't mark the clay though. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these leaves, and actually before I do that, cut this in half so that you're only working with one earring at a time. Okay, and then that just allows more freedom to move around. And then you can just use this as a general guideline for where you want them to be. And that generally works. Okay, then grab a piece of paper and place that down. And actually, I'm skipping a step. Remove that, ignore that step. You want to be putting the metal leaf on first. And the metal leaf that I'm using is this kind of gold sun drops effect. You can use regular gold leaf as well. But I'm going to take this, and don't worry, it's not going to hide the pattern completely. What you want to do is you want to take this, place that over the top, like so. And this does use up a bit of leaf, quite a bit of leaf ends up being scrap. So if you do scrapbooking at all, this is a great way to kind of have create some pieces for that. But just keep in mind that you are going to be using a bit of leaf with this, because I'm going to do now is I'm going to place these down where I had prepared them before, and it's only going to be the leaf under these leaves that's going to get put in the finished piece. Then you place the paper over the top and give it a burnish so that you stick the leaf down, or the leaves down, into the clay. And as I said, you could swap it out for flower petals as well, or feathers. Skeleton leaves also could be something that you could try. But you're going to burnish that right down into the clay, and you should be able to feel when that's done. Okay, then you're going to grab a piece of tape, and I would recommend using a large piece of tape because you want to get this in one take. And you're going to place that down, and you're also going to give that a burnish because again you want to get this in one go because the leaves are going to come up with the tape. You're going to burnish that around because you want to get all of the leaf that's not covered by the leaves. And I am saying leaf a lot in today's tutorial. But just make sure that it is stuck so that you get a nice clean finish. Okay, then I'm going to just grab this, and it's stuck to the paper a little, so this is going to be a little awkward, but you want to lift that up, and it should leave you with a really nice gold outline of a leaf. And as I said before, this works quite well for scrapbooking. And let me just put this to the side so I don't accidentally end up with leaf in the wrong places with that. But this works well for scrapbooking. And what you're going to do is you're going to just take that leaf and you're going to try to remove that as best you can. You might need to pick at it a little bit, but that should leave you with another kind of leaf silhouette. That will come off better. But there you can see how that's going to look. Definitely is going to leave you with a bit of excess leaf, but I think the results are worth it. Let me know in the comments if you think the results are worth it or not. But yeah, let me bring that back over. And the nice thing is you're also going to have the texture, which is going to show up on the metal leaf, so that looks really quite nice. Alright, I'm going to do the exact same thing with the other piece, except that I'm going to mirror it so that we have mirror earrings, and then we can cut it out. Okay, and then once you've done both of them, then you're just going to grab your cutter of choice, position it in a spot that you like, and then give it a cut. And I've moved it from the piece of paper onto a tile so that when I cut it doesn't stick in my cutter. Lift up the extra clay around the edge, grab your tissue blade and very gently but quickly get that up off the tile. Then tap around the edges to just get rid of the fluff that's going to be left over, and that's going to get sanded so it doesn't matter too much. And then you're going to pop that down onto a piece of paper along with your other piece, and those are going to get baked for a full hour at Primo's recommended temperature. And then once they're baked, the sides are going to get a very quick sand just to clean them up, and then they're going to get coated with some resin. Okay, and here they are once they're out of the oven and have cooled. And at this point you could give these sides a sand if they need to be sanded, or you could go around with a little craft knife and trim away any scrappy clay around the edges. But in general they're pretty much good to go straight from the oven. Now, one thing I do want to say, because I am going to be putting resin on top of these, is if you do decide to sand them and use water during that sanding process, make sure they have dried off completely before applying your resin, because the resin and water don't interact well, and you'll end up with a lot of bubbles and an uneven surface. So just make sure that there is no moisture on the surface. And this is the resin that I am going to be using. You can use any UV resin you want. You could also use a gloss varnish if you would prefer that. Now just take that, and when working with UV resin, you want to make sure that you use only a small amount. So I generally will apply a little bit to the surface, then I will spread it around, and then if I need more I will add more. But you don't want to add too much resin, because once it kind of spills it's really difficult to rescue the piece, and if you only use a small amount at any one time, the risk of spills is much lower. But you're going to spread that resin around, then you're going to pop that under a UV light for about 15 minutes to let the UV resin cure, and then pretty much good to assemble. Okay, and here is how it will look once you've placed the UV resin on. And that will really bring out the shine of the metal leaf, along with the texture of the actual leaves that you used. And at this point you could varnish the rest of it if you wanted to, or you can leave it the way it is. I'm going to leave it the way it is, and I'm going to assemble. And for that you're going to need these pieces. You could of course just link a jump ring through the hole over here and attach the ear wire, or you could drill a hole and use a smaller jump ring. I'm going to assemble it a little differently. Basically I'm going to take 3 jump rings, and I'm going to link them around the hole in the piece, like so. Then I'll take the smaller jump ring, open it up, and link that to these pieces in the back, and pop my ear wire on, and close that jump ring up, and just make sure that that loop on the ear wire is closed as well. And that is how I've chosen to assemble these. Now you might not like that style, and that's perfectly fine. As I said, you can drill a hole at the top and just link a jump ring that way. You could attach cord to it. There are a lot of different ways that you could assemble this, but I wanted to try a different way than what I usually did. And I have done the other one as well. And yeah, that is pretty much it for the tutorial. It's quite a cool little technique, the one where you use the metal leaf to, the tape to get the metal leaf to cover the leaves rather than the background. I have done videos where I do the opposite, where you would put a leaf down and then put the metal leaf over the top and then lift the leaf, and then all the black and white bits would be where the leaf is, and so basically it's the opposite effect, but I haven't shown how to do this before. So let me know in the comments below what you think. Do you think the technique is worth the effect, or do you think that it uses up a little bit too much metal leaf? Let me know, I'm interested to hear your thoughts. And if you like the video, please do consider leaving a like and subscribing, as I do videos like this every single day. And if you would like to support the channel so that I can continue creating videos just like this one, please do consider becoming a member. There is a join button just below this video, or there is a link to my Patreon in the description below. They're both one and the same, where I share more complex tutorials than the ones that I show on YouTube, and it's another great way to support the channel and is greatly appreciated. And again, I do hope that you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.